You have tuned into day 4 of the Swimming Knowledge Series organized by the Rainbow Swimming Academy, which is powered by Sustagen School 6 Plus and sponsored by Glory Swim Shop. First of all, I would like to invite all the parents, if they're around, to join us. Kids, if your parents are around, I would like you all to actually tell them to come and join us with this conversation or discussion today, because it will be very important for them. As yesterday, we will have a question for the day at the end of the Q&A session. The winners of yesterday's competition will be announced as well. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Julian Bowling to address us with a few words. Sir Julian.
Thank you, Coach Kasun. Kasun, I must say you've done a fantastic job as a moderator. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
This is day 4 for us. And yesterday's discussion by Shane, Coach Shane, was on dryland training. And obviously, dryland is something a lot of swimmers tend to neglect. And also, I feel sometimes on a regular day with our school, transportation, tuitions, and with the swimming, we don't seem to find much time to do dryland. And this can be a problem in many teams. And that's why I think Coach Shane showed us how, we can always find time at home to get things done. And don't wait for the swimming program that you're in to provide that time for you. Because a lot of times people have an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours a day, depending on the age group, depending on the squad that you're in. And you can't do your dry land in there and your swimming. So a lot of these things, I think, should be done by yourself, on your own, but obviously ask for a schedule and to be guided by your coaches. So here's what the analogy I want to bring. We all attend school, we go to class, right? All of you young kids. But to pass an exam, you just don't only attend the class lectures, but where you hang out with your friends. Now, I consider that as the same as what we do in the pool. When you swim with your friends, your schoolmates, your club mates, that's where the fun is. And you have a good time, you train hard. But for you to pass an exam, you also do what we call a lot of studies. And those studies you do all on your own. So, dry land, I think it can be tomorrow. I think they're going to talk about nutrition or day after. All these are things that you need to at times do on your own. Just like you cannot get through an exam by you attending class only. You have to study. It's the same thing when it comes to the sport of swimming or any other sport or any other skill that you do. If it's music, it's not about the class that you go to. It's the hours you practice on your own. So remember, yesterday's session is all about you don't need a gymnasium. You don't need fancy equipment. Use basic common sense equipment and get the work done. Remember, your land training, your dry land training, your flexibility, your strength training will always help you to swim faster. But remember what Coach Shane said, the start of the movement of your exercise, the middle point, and the finish. Remember, if you do an arm swing, for example, as a warm-up, get that full rotation. Don't do half-arm circles. Try and get the full range of movement, we call. This is something you got to create this discipline on your own. So thank you. Look forward to today's conversation. Yes, it's a topic. And yeah, congratulations for those who have won the awards. And over to you, Kasun. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right. Before we move on to today's lecture, I would like everyone to listen to the following instructions. Please switch off your video mode. I think we have spoken about this a few times. So please try and switch it off because it will help us with the connectivity. The chat box will be open 7:30 p.m. onwards. So if you have a question from what Shehan sir is going to speak about, please write it down and keep it. And once the chat box is open, you can actually put in your question, and your questions will be answered during the Q&A session. Also, what we would like to remind you is the chat box is only for questions. It is not for greetings, for okays, thank yous, and different stuff which you've been putting during the last few days. So please try and use the chat box to use for questions, right? And also, I would like to remind everyone that this happened yesterday. Please try not to do anything with the screen. Just do not touch your phones or laptops which you're using. Just watch what's happening on the screen. So if not, you might, you tend to press a button or two, and then maybe a screen share will pop up, and it will be distracting for everyone. So let's try not to do that today. I would like to again remind you, if there are parents around, please join, because this would be a very helpful session for the swimmers and the parents both. Okay, let's move to our speaker, Shehan Dias. Right. So today we have Coach Shehan Dias speaking on the long-term athlete development. Shehan is the current swimming head coach of St.Peters College and has managed to overhaul the entire Petrite swim program within a couple of years to challenge for championships. Shehan is also the coach of Holy Family Convent in Bambalapitiya. Shehan is the chairman of the technical committee of SLASU, the governing body for aquatic sports in Sri Lanka. He is an old Josevian, and he captained the swimming team in the year 2009. Shehan was part of the coaching team at the recently concluded South Asian Games, which was held in Nepal. He will be bringing his vast knowledge and experience today for this subject. Welcome, Coach Shehan. Now, welcome, Coach Shehan. Over to you.
Thank you, Coach Kasun, for the introduction. Until Kasun sets up the presentation, good evening to all of you, coaches, parents, and swimmers. I hope once again the parents have joined, because this is a topic concerning you all as well. Kasun, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Am I clear?
Yeah, good to go.
Thank you. Okay. So let's move on. Long-term athlete development, a very wide and vast topic. A topic that has many forms, let's say many parts, and many numerical and subjective figures. But to me, or to any coach here, I'm sure they'll say there is no one way. There is no roadmap or a universal theory to present this. It all depends on the presenter. Unfortunately, you all have me today. Fortunately or unfortunately. So it depends on the presenter or your coach's philosophy. But a general concept of understanding progression. Okay, this is something as coaches we need to discuss thoroughly, but surely some needed information for you swimmers. Why? Because I believe you should know why we do what we do. You all should definitely know why we do what we do. And the parents to understand why systematic progression is the key to a more successful sporting career of your child. I don't believe that you should memorize anything on this presentation. Just get a copy and feel free to scroll through it if you feel it's interesting. Okay, so I see the slide on the screen. So let's get to it. What is long-term athlete development, or LTAD? On the slide, you see this long, descriptive, meaningful terminology. I'll make it very simple for you by breaking it down. To me, it's a framework, a structure, or a map, or a pathway, whatever you want to call it. It's a structure. This follows a ladder type progression, one step at a time, step by step, where your developments, when I say your, it's you swimmers, your developments will be considered, such as your age, your physical growth, your mindset. When training you, once again, I'm pointing at you swimmers, considering your developments to train you, where training types, training volumes, and mileage and goals are set. So just let's get the keywords in order. It's a framework or a guideline to develop you step by step. guideline, step by step, considering your growth and not anyone else's. So basically, LTAD is a plan for you, based on you, to make you better. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, I see 7 reasons that LTAD should be considered as an important factor. You might wonder why I'm talking about the importance even before telling what the structure is all about. In my opinion, because this is my structure, my plan, but not knowing my structure and you still manage to understand what this structure will do to benefit you, I'm sure the swimmers will love to know how this is done. And the parents will realize this is a much needed pathway, wanting your children to follow this to have a longer career. So the first reason, the importance of LTAD, rise in the level of physical literacy. So physical literacy is the motivation and confidence, physical competency, the knowledge and the understanding you gain over time. Then you value this process, you take responsibility for what you do, and then you engage in this activity for life. That's why you see there is a part of swimmer. There are part of swimmers who have retired who come back to the pool, and then they start swimming just for the fun of it, not just your young and competitive years, but beyond that. So the next reason, less chance of injuries. A well-planned program will make sure you minimize the injury factor. Injury is something that you and I can't control. No coach can say there won't be any injuries. Training will make you stronger, but it will also make your body go through or push limits where eventually injuries will happen. But if you follow a guided pathway, you'll be trying out and doing certain activities with your physical developments and abilities. You'll do something bigger and harder when you are bigger and stronger. Eventually, I believe less injuries, or to make it even sweeter, no injuries at all. Third point, fewer dropouts from training. I think the best way to explain this is a simple example, because this is something our swimming community faces. Simple example. We have 50 heats at an event at under 10. 50 heats. Slightly less at under 12 and under 14, or maybe the same. But finally, when you get to under 20, it's just 3 heats. From 400 swimmers per event, we have dropped down to 24. 400 to 24 in those 8 or 9 years. What happened to those 375 others? Is it too much pressure? Or they just didn't want to do it anymore? They said, enough is enough. I need a break. I need to stop this now. All these can be reasons, but I believe a progressive ladder type structure will not let this happen. I believe you won't be pushed to uncomfortable levels unless you are ready for it. So I believe this will reduce the dropout percentage. Moving on to the next point, better choice of sport. This is very true. No coach or parent can say my child or your child is going to be a swimmer for the rest of his life. No one can say that. You cannot say that at the age of 7 or 8. Not even Michael Phelps can say that his son is going to be a swimmer. He says his kid loves the water. That's all he says. He doesn't talk about whether he's going to swim 2032 or 2036 he'll be swimming. Nothing like that. My kid loves to swim. He loves the water. But what we can do is, swimming and a few other sports can be mixed up till a certain age. And with your maturity, growth, you will decide what's best for you based on what's more enjoyable, I believe. You only do something and your parents want you to be a swimmer and you only do that. And what happens if you get fed up? You have no other option. LTAD allows various movement sports until a certain age. Once again, I believe it's helpful. Moving on, more trust in your club, your school, or your program. Why do you start trusting more? Because you know that you're learning step by step. You feel that the coach is more caring to keep you in the sport for a longer time, not pushing you, not making it uncomfortable for you to start hating it. You also feel that the coach is not pushing you for his benefit. His name, he wants to be famous, saying you're his swimmer. The club or the school trying to be famous using a name. So there you go. So you start understanding your program, you start trusting your program more. Moving on, I think I almost at the end. Higher sporting achievements. There will never be 100% roadmap for success to be an Olympic champion. But listen to this. I believe these are golden words. This is not on the slide. If anybody is interested in writing this down, I believe you should. Here are the words. Doing the right thing at the right time is a big step in the right direction. Once again, doing the right thing at the right time is a big step in the right direction. I believe it's golden words. You're not supposed to be Michael Phelps at 15. Michael Phelps was Michael Phelps at 15 because he was 6 feet tall. He had a shoe size of 12. He was a mentally tough kid. But without physical growth, we should not try to copy something just because it's done by someone. You're supposed to follow a 10 to 14 year training plan to gain the maximum out of it with maturity. In my opinion, in young years, in your young stages, sometimes less is more. Less work is more beneficial for you. So the final importance is you end up happier. You learn skills with over time. You enjoy what you do. You enjoy the pain at training because you've grown and matured to understand why you're doing what you're doing. What happens finally? You engage in sport for life. You will come back. You share your experience with youngsters rather than stay away because it tortured you as a kid. So I believe all good. Now, if I ask you, especially young children, why you swim? Some of the answers I think will be like this because I've asked this from youngsters and these are some of the answers I've got. I like to swim. Why you swim? I like to swim. I like to have a nice body. I like sport. I like the water. I like to be fit. So it's like, I like. How did something you like was made to a horror movie and now you don't like it? To me, I'll give you a perfect example. It's like saying you like ice cream and you are given ice cream for breakfast, for a morning snack, lunch, tea, dinner. You are given because you said you like it. So you are being given, you have been fed ice cream over and over again. What happens? You're going to fall sick and you're going to wake up the next morning and say, I hate ice cream. I don't want ice cream. In sport, you do too much. You will injure yourself. Next thing you know, I hate sport. So let's move on to the next slide, please. The current sport system issues. The sport system has issues. There are issues in almost everything. But you need to find a proper roadmap and travel cautiously. I'm sure there are more issues than what I have mentioned on the slide, but this is what I see. If you have any more issues that you want to discuss with me during the Q&A, feel free to do so. The first issue I see is young athletes undertrain, overcompete. You, as swimmers, like to go for meets. Your parents want you to swim at meets because there is a reward, there is recognition. But you're forgetting one thing. You are going to run out of gas if you don't do the necessary training and have the necessary skills. You need to slow down on competition and work on your skill development over time. Next, we have adult training and competitions imposed on younger athletes. Now, this is something you as a swimmer, as a sportsman will face if your coach or parent does not understand the required dosage for the age. They'll be like, time for you to start doing medicine ball. Time for you to start taking a protein shake. We need to do more fitness like older athletes. We need to do more meets like that swimmer, and you will point at an 18-year-old superstar and you're only 9. They'll say, you need to use this equipment. You need to start getting selected for this tour. You are just 9 years old. You get confused. This is a real issue. Adult training and competitions imposed on young athletes. I hope the parents understand what I'm trying to say. Next, we have early years focusing on the outcome rather than the process. Once again, I'll go with an example. You go for your first meet, novices perhaps. You come 25th. Only 8 are qualified. Now, no certificate, no medal, not qualified. Okay, you yourself say that my friend, or your parents say, look at your friend who came first. He is so committed. You are useless. That's a common thing. But what you don't think is what that friend has done so much so early, and with talent he's doing well, and you are still perfecting your skills. You came 25th, but I went 7 meters underwater on the dive with good streamline. I didn't breathe the last 5 meters of my race. I did 3-stroke breathing throughout my race. Wow, to me that's better than winning, because you're on the right track. Finally, chronological age influencing your biological age. Now, chronology is a number. Biology is how you look. You're 15, not grown, or still in the process of growing. But there is a 13-year-old kid who is already matured and doing more. Now, do you do more just because your number is higher? I am older. I shouldn't be second to that person. He's younger and doing that, but I'm older. Unless your family and your genes are small made, you shouldn't be in a hurry. But let's say you're yet to grow, but your younger friends who are mature will go ahead. Don't worry. Your time will come. Sport is not a syllabus. It's not grade 1, you do this, grade 2, you do this. It's not like that. It's a physical activity which needs physical growth and your maturity, not just age. Okay, next slide, please. I believe I've spoken about some issues and importance. Let's get to my structure of LTAD. So the levels, the structure, the path. Like I said, there is no one way. This is my way, which has 6 steps. The US has 8 steps, the British 5, the Indian 7, which I listened to about a couple of weeks back because they have a knowledge series as well. They have 7. The Russians have 12. And presently the most successful program in the world, led by the Canadians, have 7. Feel free to Google this. You just have to type LTAD, swimming, and the country, I believe. But this is my version, 6 steps. So the first step is fundamentals. Learning basic movements, not just swimming. It can be even throwing a ball, right? It can be throwing a ball, kicking a ball, or something like that. Learn to swim, second stage, a stage where you start learning your swimming skills. Swim to train. This is where you refine your skills learned and you build on your technique further. Train to train. Now, this comes when you have to start building your engine for the future battles, your upcoming battles. You need your strong engine. Start building your engine. Train to race. You start optimizing your race engine. You put new oil, new gears, extra oil to get more result. And finally, you come to your last stage, race to win. You get maximum out of your fine-tuned engine. Your body is your fine-tuned engine. Last stage, you are at it. You are ready. You're ready for action. Now, I could go one more level up and call it active for life, level 7, and talk about swimming in the master's program, fitness program, where you are much older and you do it for fitness and all this. But I believe that will naturally come if you follow the first 6 levels. Now the next upcoming slides will have a bit of breakdown on these six phases. Now, it is not specifically given what you should be doing, because it's a longer discussion, but I have given a clear outline and a structure for you, right? So let's go to the next slide, which is fundamentals. Fundamentals, basic movements. Now on your left, you see numbers. No need to memorize it. I'll rush through it and focus more on the skills run. Now, guidelines. Fundamentals where you start at around 1.5 years to 6 years. Doesn't mean you have to start at 1.5. It can be later. It can be much later. You don't have to stick to this, but this is just outline. Period of training 2 to 3 years. Classes per week 1 to 2. I'd recommend 1 because you're very young, but you want to be more, you want to repeat it more times per week, so then might as well do 2. But I'd say 30 minutes a class maximum. An ideal time is when the sun is not too hard on you, 8 to 10 in the morning or evening after 5 to 6:30. Nothing when unless you have an indoor pool, and then I don't mind on the time. So let's call this a toddler class, parent toddler class in the club structure. In the school program, I honestly don't see this level because you won't see school children at this age. You would see children at 6 years, grade 1. And that also schools don't allow grade 1s to swim. Unless you have an old boy or an old girl who knows that the school program is a good program and brings their daughter or son at very young stage for the coach to do it. So if not, I don't see this as a school program, this level. So what do we learn? You learn to enjoy and seek fun. That's everything you do is fun. It's always fun. You play. very important term, you play at this stage. You will start learning to get into the pool with assistance. It can be with your parent, it can be with your trainer. You start having fun in the water. You call it the splashy time, splash water. The more splash, the more happy you are. Then eventually you start submerging your head underwater. Submerge, then you'll open your eyes underwater. Then you start your blowing up bubbles, and it'll be fun to just make that noise, right? Slowly, your fear is taken away about water. You'll then start learning what you call gravity and buoyancy. That is to float, to balance yourself. I'm sure you can't do it on your own. You start off with assistance and then slowly without assistance. And finally, towards the last stages, you might do it without assistance for sure. You learn propulsion. In this stage, propulsion is first movement. In this stage, movement is kicking, your leg work. You start using a kickboard and start to kick. You kick with your coach holding your legs and moving it around. So this is where you learn all of that. Moving on to the next slide, your second level, learn to swim. This is your basic or your base of learning skills. Age 6 to 9 years, again, it doesn't have to be that age, 2 to 3 years of period of training. Classes 2 to 3, once again, same story, 2, I would say 2, but 3 is fine as long as you don't overdo it. 45 to 60 minutes per class, and evening, please, evening. Don't bother these children in the morning. In a club structure, it would be an academy. In an afternoon, in a school program, it will be the afternoon, learn to swim after 2:30 or after school. So this is where you start learning the introduction to ABC. A, agility. B, balance. C, coordination. Agility, to move easily and quickly. Balance, to stay in control during movements. Coordination, moving multiple body parts at the same time. Coordination between them. Propulsive skills, this is where you start your kicking and your arm movement, and you start moving forward progressively. You'll have a progressive plan of learning strokes. I'll just give a basic idea. Level 1 freestyle, level 2 back, level 3 press, level 4 fly, and maybe level 5 IM. I don't know. It can be your coach's philosophy. So this, you'll end up making you understand what you call an IM, individual medley. The 4 strokes are the order of it and how it's done. You'll start to learn your skill work at this age. Your starts, your turns. Coach Imran did a fantastic job explaining starts, turns, but I believe it's not that advanced. When you start at this level, it will be much simpler, the basics. Understanding the use of kickboards. Why I use a swim cap, why goggles, why kickboard, why fins. Progressively using kick equipment. You won't be using fins as you get into the water. So you'll progressively learn why I'm using it, then you start using it. Survival skills. Not to save anyone, but learn some skills such as tread water to stay afloat, keep the chin above the surface, enjoy, have a conversation. The survival breaststroke will keep the head up. You have seen a lot of mamas and dadas do that because they like to keep their head up and swim. So these are called survival breaststroke. So this is where you will be brought into all this. In this stage, I would say you should play multiple sports. Do not choose swimming and say swimming is my sport. Play multiple sports. It can be athletic, it can be badminton, basketball. There's a big number of sports available. It can be in your school, it can be in your club. All this is available. Next slide, please. Swim to train. Your third stage. This is where your technique development stage. Your morning journey begins, I believe, but try to delay it as much as possible. A few years back, I think about 5 years back, Coach Dr. John Prince, I think he came quite recently, but I'm talking about what I heard about 5 years back. Dr. John Prince said he has a championship junior team training in the evenings. He said, you should delay the mornings for these kids. These kids shouldn't be waking up in the morning. They should sleep in. So I believe this is your beginning of your morning journey, but let's try to delay it. If available, please stick to evening. Right, 10 to 12 years of age, period of training 2 to 3 years. Sessions per week, I believe 4 to 5 max. Per session 60 to 90 minutes, 60 at your young years, and towards the end it can be 90 minutes, sorry. Mileage, 1,500 meters to 2,500. Now I'm talking about mileage, how many meters you should do in a session. Per session, I think about maximum to 2.5 kilometers per session. I believe a junior squad in the club and the school both. Now, what should you focus in your zone, in your phase, in this phase? IM, your skills and your drills. If I ask you, and if you're in this zone, in this phase, what is your best stroke? The answer is breaststroke, freestyle. No, it's not going to be that. Your best stroke is IM. My best stroke is IM, individual medley. I'm not a breaststroker, not a backstroker, I'm not a flyer. I am an IM swimmer. You do not specialize that early in your career. Okay, what do we learn? You refine your strokes using BLABT. By now, you all know what BLABT is. I know the 4 coaches did a super fantastic job on BLABT. You all know the breakdown. So you start developing using that, the right way, the structural way of learning that. You will be introduced to the clock. Now, when I say clock and repetitive swimming, it's not that you have to be a mathematical genius. It's when you're given a workout, let's say 10:50s on 1:30. You know when to start, when to finish, when to start your next repetition without the coach having to say go. That's a basic understanding. You start your basic endurance work, some long swims, some 400s, some 800s. Understanding to keep track of the number of lengths. Because when I give a 400, if it's a 25-meter pool, okay, it's 16 lengths. I need to count 16 lengths. You will, at this age, you miscount. You might stop at 14 and say, I'm done. But the coach will say, no, you have 2 more. So you'll start learning the counting strategy. You will develop breathing patterns, breathing bilaterally, 3 to 5 strokes and all this. Not breathing for the first 3 pools and all this. So introduction to new drills. This is where you are given advanced drills than the previous level, not advanced drills, but drills that are going to focus on teaching you to correct your stroke so that you are ready to train harder. Understanding a basic workout. You don't need to know what your workout has done to you, whether it has made you strong or not, but understanding a basic workout, like let's say, you know, this is your warm-up, this is your kick set, this is your pull set, this is your drill set, this is your main set. So focusing on technique while swimming a workout, very interesting. Let's say your trainer says, we're doing long arms today. You all have short arms, so in the warm-up, he or she says, guys, we're going to work on long arms. So the main set and your pull set, you'll work on long arms. You'll be saying you need to work on underwater kicks. You have to do 3 underwater kicks. Every push-up is going to go 3 underwater kicks. So these are focusing on a certain drill throughout your swim. Balancing various movement sports. This is a crucial point as well. Basketball, coordination, athletics, coordination, etc. I personally don't recommend contact sports. Sorry if there is a rugby coach here. I don't recommend contact sports unless your father is a ruggerite and you have the passion to be a ruggerite. Yes. If you have the passion to be a ruggerite, yes, contact sports, so that, you know, in time you will decide to go to do rugger versus swim. But if you have a passion to become a swimmer, I'd say other sports except these contact sports. Right, moving on to the next stage, train to train. Train to train, building that machine, building that engine. This is your building stage. This is your building phase. Very important, 12 to 15 years. Period of training, I'd say 2 to 3 years. Sessions per week, 6, 1 dry land. Some may go 2, some programs may have 2. I'm okay with that. 90 to 120 minutes, maximum 2 hours. Max 12 hours per week you spend in the pool. That's 6 sessions of 2 hours. That's the max you're going to spend in the pool. Go home, go to school, enjoy life. Nothing more than 12 hours. Your mileage per session, 3.5 kilometers to 5 kilometers. I believe this is the intermediate squad in the club. And school structure. Intermediate even in the school structure. So focus, I believe, is still IM, but to believe and to Kasun, is my internet okay? Because I just got a message saying it's unstable. Coach Kasun?
It was a bit. Now we are okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I am aerobic engine. You start building your aerobic capacity. So now what do we learn? You will specifically emphasize on learning aerobic conditioning. More 80% work swimming. You cannot swim at 100% effort for a longer period, but you can swim at 80%. This is where you build your engine. Individualization of fitness and technical training. Based on your growth, the exercise you do, the equipment you use, maybe a 1 kilo medicine ball, maybe a lighter cord, maybe a harder cord, all depends on you. Shoulder, elbow, spine, core, and ankle stability. Extremely important. Why? You are doing more work. You are prone to injury. So time to do preventive work. Participation in complementary sports or activities. 80-20 rule. I'd say girls can do ballet, gymnastics for boys or girls both, rowing or basketball, but limit yourself. When you grow, the percentage should be lower and lower, and towards the end of your phase in the train to train, you should cut down your minor sports and major on your swimming, if swimming is your passion. Refinement of specific technical skills. Your dive. Do you do a normal dive or do you do a track dive? Fundamentals of tactical preparation. Learn recovery, nutrition, meet preparation, warm-ups and warm-downs. Introduction to mental preparation. These are all introductory. Learning to be positive, coming to the pool eager to learn, then considering torture. Another day with this coach. Yeah. All that should be taken out. Moral learning. This is choosing between what is right and wrong and having your discipline. Let's move to the next slide. The guidelines for trying to race, optimizing that machine, that engine. Life gets harder, school gets harder, and add to that, your sport gets harder. 15 to 18 years, 2 to 3 years of training. 8 sessions, I'd say 2 dryland, even gym, especially for girls and stronger boys. Now, why I say girls and stronger boys is not to say boys are not strong as girls. I'm sure a 13-year-old boy might be stronger than an 18-year-old girl, but girls mature at a very younger age. Boys mature slower. Girls tend to mature faster. So just because a boy is much stronger doesn't mean he should be given something harder, because they are not supposed to do it. They are supposed to mature, they're supposed to grow. But girls will grow faster. So girls can take more pain than boys. They might not be as strong as the boys. They might be not as fast as the boys, but they are definitely matured than the boys. So girls can start off first. Per session, I would say 120 minutes, 2 hours, 14 to 16 minutes per week. 14 to 16 hours per week in the pool. Mileage 4.5 kilometers, 6 kilometers per session. Senior squad in the club or the school structure. Now, to me, you should focus on a wide range of it. Don't stick to say, I'm going to be a backstroker 50, 100, 200. Try to say you are a 50, 100, 200 of all strokes. 200 I am. Still, you know, this gives you more areas, more options in life, in your swimming career. Now, what do we learn? You start doing sports and individual specific physical conditioning. You don't run for hours and hours saying it helps your swimming unless you're a distance swimmer. You would do the right strength and conditioning which helps swimming. Not general movements like weightlifting and say, oh, I did bench press, unless the bench press you did and the number of reps is helping your swimming. So you would do very specific conditioning. Your shoulder, elbow, core, spine, and ankle stability will further continue because more strenuous activity, more preventive work. Tactical preparation. Now, previously you worked on nutrition, but now the right nutrition, the right sleep, the right recovery comes in. Individualization on technical and tactical skills. How do you swim your race? Okay, let's take 2 swimmers. All right, they're both going for a 200 freestyle. I'd say, come on, swimmer A, I want you to swim the first 50 at 26. If I don't say that, he's not going to push himself. But saying that, I'd say the other swimmer, the swimmer B, you swim at 85%, 85, 90% on that first 50. He will swim at 26 because these are 2 different swimmers. Individually, I cater to their need. Individually, I cater to their need. There's another swimmer who can't swim fast at the beginning, but is able to hold on. I'm not going to ask him to swim fast. I know he can hold on, and I'm going to give him a difference. So this is all individually strategized, technical and tactical stuff. Now, mental preparation, facing competition with positive attitude, not scared, you know what to do. Now, when I say this, you plan for competition, all that. Now, this does not mean you are only going to face competition at this stage. You will be facing competition in those previous stages. But you might be good. If you're a talented swimmer, you might be good. And if you're good, congratulations, well done, good. But you're not going to give all you have to be good at that level. You will give all you have to start becoming good at starting at this level. This is where your races really matter. Not what you did at under 10. The 10 is good. If you're fit, you're tall, you're stronger, you're going to win. Good, nice. I like it. I have kids who have done well in the young ages. So basically all I'm saying is, it's not to say don't focus on competition, but don't base your training on competition. Base your training on developing yourself in the early stages. Here, base yourself on your upcoming competitions. Sport and individual specific knowledge comes in this phase. Experience learning, you will research, you will study, you will learn and watch and learn skills. The final stage, race to win. I might have to rush through because I think I'm taking a lot of time. The guideline, this is the stage where everything matters. It is go time for you. It's go time, it's show time. This is where you hit 18 years or above. Period, maybe 8 to 10 years, all depends on how long you want to go. You want to stop at 19, that's 1 year. You want to stop at 20, 2 years, 29, 10 years. Well, I think the American sprinter Anthony Irving was 35 plus when he won the 50 freestyle at the last Olympics. I think it's 35 plus if I'm not mistaken. So he would have gone for 17 years in this area. So I'd say 10 to 12 sessions a week, 6 swim, 2 dry land with minus swimming, 2 gym, 1 yoga, 1 mind training. To me, per session, I'd say 2.5 hours. That's max. I'm not saying 10 sessions or 12 sessions of 2.5 hours, but it can be the odd 2.5 hour session. So 20 to 22 hours per week. Mileage is going to be the same as the next, the previous level, because just because you're older and you're ready to race, you can't be doing more because you're doing more sessions, right? So it doesn't sound practical. This is the elite squad in a club. In a school, it's highly unlikely to see this, but coming from the Pete Wright program, we have number 2 in the country. So I shouldn't say that, but I believe training he's an exception. I am lucky to have him. I don't think every school will have that opportunity. And I don't think I will have him for much longer because he might have to look for better options out there. So now you focus on a specific stroke or distance. Unless you do IM like Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps, he focused on the 400 IM. He can do 200 IM. He can do 400 free. He can do 200 free. He can do 200s of any stroke. He can do hundreds of any stroke. Why? He has conditioned himself to be an IM swimmer. So if you go down that road, I believe you have a super future. Now, what do we learn? Improvement of physical capability. Your level of taking in mileage, pressure, intensity becomes much higher. Your shoulder, elbow, core, ankle, and all the spine stability, it continues. It has to be way more focused. Modeling all possible aspects of training and performance. You start researching and try to do the skills the Olympians do, try to find your plan based on what they do, try to bring together something. You will plan frequent breaks, prophylactic breaks. These are prevention breaks. Prevention is needed. You are in a state of constantly bothering or giving tension to your body, pressure to your body. When you are after a massive workout, endurance workout, and you're so tired, if somebody walks by you with a cold, you're definitely going to catch it. You're stronger than him, but your body is at a very vulnerable stage. So this is where you need to take breaks to make sure your body doesn't go to levels where you cannot take it up. So your dose of vitamin C when there's a cold or flu is going on, periodical worm treatment. I don't believe a lot of swimmers focus on this, but periodical worm treatment is a must. You need to treat your body well. Advanced practical preparation, pacing strategies, event warm-ups, not just the meet warm, event warm-ups. Advanced mental preparation, more focus, more positivity. Just ready for action. I'm on the block, I'm racing, I don't care who is next to me. I get on the block, I do my race. All aspects of the training is individualized. Not just your event, your training is all dependent on you. Yes, previous stage you would have done 24 100s. Now you're not going to do 24 100s. If you need 48, you'll do 48. If you need to do 12, you do 12. Not going to based on somebody else's 24. Your 24 is, it may be 25, it may be more, it may be less. It may be, I don't know. It may be not hundreds at all. Okay. So you will further develop knowledge and experience. Learn, learn, and learn. No ceiling, no limit for learning. I believe I've touched the 6 stages. Let's move to the next slide. Now, I have not got specific from stage to stage. Now, I spoke a few general areas to give you a basic understanding. I said period of training, but not a plan or periodized version for what you should do to set up year after year after year, this year, this year, next year that, and something like that. I said number of sessions, but I didn't say weekly plan. Monday you should do this, Tuesday you should do this, Wednesday recovery, endurance, sprint, all that. I didn't say any of that. I spoke about per session duration and mileage, but what should the session look like? I didn't say that. I didn't talk about testing at all. But testing comes in different stages. You have your T20, you have a strength and conditioning test, you have your flexibility test, you have your VO2 test, etc. Didn't speak on nutrition though. I said you learn. I'm sure Coach Kanita will touch on nutrition and give you a better understanding tomorrow. But I didn't touch on any of this. This is not to hide or keep anything from you. I don't want to hide anything as a coach. But this conversation or this part of the presentation needs another 2 or 3 45-minute sessions to discuss. Because I'm sure there are many questions coming on. What do I do as a 10-year? Okay. Now, age is not the only factor. You can ask what age. I'm 10 years old. What do I do? I can tell you what you do at 10 years old. But your age and your body is different. You are tall. Now it's something different. Your age to body to speed. You are a more talented kid. Now what do I do? Age to body to speed, to your stroke, to it's all like a spider web of information. So much of variables. So I don't have time to talk all that. But if there are specific questions, then I can answer. I have the answer for you. I'll give it to you. Now, this I will definitely say that this is a discussion with coaches, but senior swimmers who have interest for the sport and want to know more can approach your coach and get an understanding of this. Be open to your coach and speak on what you understand, what you're missing, and try to get what's right for you. I'm sure all the coaches in this panel will be willing to help anyone who needs assistance. Feel free to ask me anything. Please get a copy of my presentation if that is a much needed thing for you all. Let's move to the next stage. Okay, challenges to LTAD. Everything we plan has its own challenges, these two. To me, early development, I'm going a bit fast because I'm running out of time, I believe, unless I'm boring you all to death. So I want to quickly finish it off. So early developing athlete. You start swimming fast at a young age. Now what do you do? Do you go to the faster group? To me, the answer is yes and no. Yes, you go to the faster group, the older group. But absolutely, when it's absolutely necessary for you. But you will not train that older group's volume. No, not the volume. The speed, yes, because you want to stay in that training zone. You don't want to be swimming slow when you're supposed to swim at a decent speed. So you swim at that level, but you don't do that mileage. That is my opinion. Some coaches may say no. Okay. Over enthusiastic family ideas and discussion. This is where I have, I think I have 4 members in the guest audience today. My mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother. This is a first-hand experience for me, and I will use them. Now you start comparing others at the same age, trying to discuss what to do at home, trying to jump the level and faster, at a faster pace, look for meal plans and eat like that. I come from a family who has the perfect example for this. I had under-enthusiasm, the right kind of enthusiasm, and over-enthusiasm. Now me as a swimmer, not a great swimmer. Mind you, I was not a great swimmer. Just doing it as a sport. I captain college, big deal, good. Okay. That was under-enthusiasm. No, Shehan, you swim. Good job, you swim. That's under-enthusiasm. I'm not complaining. My parents are really good. They've done a fantastic job with the 3 children. I'm just giving an example. My brother, Shehan, is also in the audience. Good swimmer. Good swimmer in the sense he was okay. He was top 3 at Sri Lanka schools. Nothing much, but top 8 at national. Parents said, let's try the next step. Your brother is at Rainbows. Coach Julian is really good. So, okay, again, my connection is unstable. I suppose it's okay now. So my brother was brought to Rainbows for high performance. He peaked at 21, 22, slightly early. But I believe quite a good example considering the local scenario. And ended his career at 24. I think that's the right kind of enthusiasm. Popped up at the needed stage, right kind of enthusiasm. Over enthusiasm. My sister, super swimmer, showed potential at young stages. Didn't wait for the right age, brought her to RA, Rainbow Aquatics. I was there as a coach. I knew the brother would help her. Trained at high levels, did well, grew tall, drawing well, strokes looked good, winning. All that is good. But she would eat like the brother. She would try to eat like the brother. She would try to focus like the brother. The pressure from the brother and the mother would also be like the brother. Finally, too much of work to cope up. too much on her plate. She gave up even before my brother gave up. And my brother is 6 years elder to my sister. Now, ironical, this afternoon, I don't know how my parents visited me, but my mom and dad came to my place and just had a chat. And I said, I'm going to have a lecture today. Why don't you all join? I'm having you all as an example also. And then when I said challenges are over enthusiasm, my father said this. I think it's a very valid point. I had this in my head, but I had forgotten it until he reminded me. What he said was, parents try to live their dreams through their children. Shehan, that's the biggest cause of this. And he said that. Ironically, it's a super statement. Parents try to live their dreams through their children. They couldn't be a cricketer. You should be a cricketer. You're captain, do this, do this. This is a golden thought that my father gave me today just before he left. He just came for half an hour. He just said this to me. And he said he'll join the meeting and listen to me. Anyway, so that is also a very valid comment, I believe. The next challenge is the late reward scheme. With all the sacrifices made, years and years go by, there's no reward, there's more focus on developments and correcting rather than winning medals. Frustration kicks in. Why waste time? Why waste money? Is my coach actually doing the right thing? These are certain questions that you might have. Now, a small video on a baseball incident was sent to me by Coach Julian. He forwarded it to me a couple of weeks back. A kid who loves to play baseball. And the dad pushes him so hard to be good, to be better, and pushes him until he feels worn out. The kid gets fed up and he gets into the vehicle and comes home. No talking during the ride back home. Once he gets home, mom asks, how was practice? If mom was cooking in the kitchen. I think I will forward this video to you all. I think the coaches have it. And the kid walks away when the mom's tired and frustrated. And the mom goes to her husband and says, you're pushing him too hard. You know what the dad says? Dad says, well, we have a tough game coming up this weekend. We need this win. Son comes back furious. We don't need this win. It was never about winning. I just love to play ball. Let kids play on their own terms, parents, and they will. Now another controversial one on the next slide. So next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. The 10,000 hour rule. This is a concept researched by Malcolm Gladwell. The idea that you need 10,000 hours to be a world-class performer in any field. It doesn't have to be swimming. According to him, 20 hours a week for 52 weeks, that's 1 year. That you will cover 1,000 hours a year to 10 years, 10,000, you're an expert. For sport, it doesn't happen like that. First of all, it goes against LTAD. You can't work 20 hours in your early stages and start learning at 6 or 7 years based in 20 hours, right? You can't do that. Sports needs physical development attributes, which no one knows at what age someone would attain that. But let's say we use this concept and combine with LTAD to see what age you will complete 10,000 hours. Interesting fact to know. Let's move to the next slide. Now, please don't look at these numbers and go bonkers, right? You can study it later. I've kept out the fundamentals because that's not necessarily going to be swimming. So take on the other stages, your age, how many sessions you will do per week, how many hours per session, how many days a week you'll train. And I made a calculation and it says at the age of 25 years, you will complete. Now, it is disheartening, right? It is surprising. Actually, you should not be disheartened. First of all, because in Sri Lanka, we might work more in the early stages and hit the 10,000 hours at an early age, right? It is not only the number of hours. I did 10,000 hours, so what? I fudged 2,000. Nope, I'm not going to be an expert. It's what you do in the number of hours that you have spent, which is density. Density over volume always. But world-class athletes will peak at 25 plus. This is where they win. Because this is where they're physically tough, physically more capable, mentally much stronger and ready for battle. Let's take the US, the Australian team, the Great Britain, the Russian, etc. Now, there can be an occasional Olympic champion at an early stage, but very, very few. Now, if your question is, I won't be able to swim till 25. I need to do my higher studies. I need a job. True, I understand. This is the issue with Sri Lanka. This is what I believe the coach and the administration should work towards, finding a support scheme for those who continue the sport and to the utmost level with age. Your job being swimming and training. just like what the Navy and the Army is doing. This is where we will attain the much needed result the country is looking for. What you are looking for, but that needs to be more planned and structured. Hopefully we'll get there soon. So my last slide, I hope you and your parents have learned something from this presentation. I know I have not been very specific, but I have only given you a general structure. Once again, let me thank Rainbow Aquatics along with Coach Julian and his team for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with you. I believe it's a very great initiative, and I'm sure that this will be developed in the future. Thank you. I'm open to questions if you want to clarify anything. Please go ahead. I hope this was useful. Have to be the only plan. Thank you, everyone. Kasun.
Thank you, Shehan, for the brilliant presentation. I'm sure the parents and the children learned a lot today. Now we'll move on to the questions. I'll just unmute our panel.
Questions?
Yes, there's a lot.
Not bad. There's 350 participants.
Yeah. So kids, if you are still here, please hang around. We are going to announce the winners after the Q&A. And also we will have the question of the day. And so you have an opportunity to win gifts from Glory Swim Shop. Right.
I have a glass of water. I'm talking for 45 minutes.
Right. Okay. Okay, let's go to the first question. This is regarding a 12-year-old child. A 12-year-old child can never attend swimming classes in the evening. How many times would that child need to go in the morning for training?
Okay. A 12-year-old child is a very general term for me, because I don't know whether your 12-year-old child is in the beginning stage, the mid stage where they know their 4 strokes, or I will give you examples for all of this, or whether they are into competitive swimming. So if you're into competitive swimming, I'd say maximum 4 to 5 4 sessions a week is more than enough. 5 max. But if you're not in that competitive, if you're not in that, if you're still in that learning curve, I believe just going for training and not having purpose, just doing the number of sessions is not the only answer to this. You should find ways to have a more evening, more focused group class where your styles and your techniques can be because we've seen. I believe this is an example I've learned when I was at Rainbows. We had an Amila Pereira who, again, ironically, he's chatting with me since yesterday. Amila Pereira was a breaststroker. I believe he qualified novices after 15 years of age, and he won the nationals at 18. So he was not swimming 8 sessions, 5 sessions at those early ages. Now, I've heard this term over and over again. Akalanka Pires, such records, these young age group records of Akalanka Pires have been broken. And I've heard these parents saying, Akalanka Pires is reborn. Now, Akalanka Pires never trained 4 to 5 sessions a week. He didn't train 4 to 5 sessions when he was swimming 2016 SAR falls. He was only training 3 sessions. So if you are training 4 to 5 sessions and getting that result, you shouldn't say, you have done a lot of work. I'm not saying your child is bad, but it all depends on what your child is physically capable and what your child's main focus is. So I cannot give an exact answer without knowing the child.
Julian, sir, do you have anything to say to that?
I don't think that's a good enough answer, but that's it.
Excellent, Shehan, and fantastic question. But I assume this question was from a parent. And something that obviously I have a chance of speaking to you all on, do I get Sunday?
Yeah.
I don't get Sunday off. Nobody gets Sunday off, at least in the evening. One thing we started this year is asking kids what they want. Yes, there is a ceiling, like Shehan mentioned, a certain age. Don't try to go beyond this. For sure, if the child wants to go beyond that, stop it. But you got to, I think the most beautiful thing we can do now is to ask kids what they want. Like Shehan said, leave the school trophy, leave personal glory out of the parent who wants to probably achieve something through the child. Ask kids what they want and ask them what they want to achieve. And then maybe you, in a conversation, you can figure out the number of sessions. The child might say, I want to train, I only like to train twice a week. Then you're challenged to, then you say, what do you want to achieve this year? And they'll bring a quantifiable or a subjective answer saying, yeah, I'd like to get into the school relay team. Then you got to figure out, okay, here are the times you might have to swim. So if you create a dialogue with young kids and senior kids and ask them what they want, then within those certain parameters, we can find a nice balance so that, as Shehan says, you swim for life type of thing. So, yeah, it'll be interesting not to push them and say, this is what you should do. I think, yeah, that's my little contribution to that.
Thank you, Julian, sir. So question number 2, when you mention contact sports, what is your opinion on mixing water polo and swimming?
Okay, so
St. Peters don't have that problem.
St. Peters didn't have that problem, neither did St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's don't have it, but a lot of other schools have it.
Yeah, all depends, I believe. Now, when I say contact, water polo is not bad for swimming unless swimming is your priority and you have a good scope in swimming. If you have a good scope in swimming, I believe you shouldn't do water polo because it's going to mess around with your technique. But if you are an average swimmer contributing points for that school trophy, water polo gives you a more team, swimming is a more individualistic sport. We are trying to merge this team factor, but water polo is a more team sport. You play for each other. You have that glory. You want to do something for someone else. Because of that, you gain, I believe, other areas like teamwork. You gain confidence. You get motivated. And this water polo works on sprints. And I've seen all these water polo swimmers, so water polo players, being super sprinters. So water polo will help unless you want to become a SAF swimmer or to be a national athlete. I believe you should not select water polo because it will mess around with your sport. But now I will come because I believe ladies college is here. There was
Eranga was having a good laugh for that question.
Yeah. So I believe Dinasha Hevagama represented Sri Lanka at the SAF and played water polo. So that's a balance that she has found. If she's doing, so it doesn't mean that she did well. Well done, Dinasha. If you're here, well done. But I won't say that if you hadn't done water polo, would you have done better in your swimming? Is a question mark. Kanitha was a player who did both. Kanitha was the national champion, went for SAF, played for national water polo. Would his career be better? Because I also was a part of his coaching staff at one point. Would he have been better if he didn't do water polo? Or did water polo make him much stronger? Is a question to ask. So I believe if you're a serious swimmer, water polo is a no-no for me after a certain age.
Julian, sir?
Yeah, and I think if you ask Kanitha, it'd be nice to put Kanitha on the spot here. Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing. He was playing water polo, he was swimming, he was carrying injuries. I think that final year before his A-levels, a week before the A-levels, he was in Barcelona for the World Championships in swimming. And he just finished his water polo season. And I think the thing is, we shouldn't regret. The fact is that Kanitha decided that, I don't think anyone forced him to say, look, do water polo and swimming. Or nobody tried to tell him only swim. But as coaches, we would have given him options. But I think Kanitha made that choice. And yes, he could have swum faster if he had not played water polo. But the fact that Kanitha was out there doing what he loves doing, and maybe he had friends in both teams. Maybe this is the reason a lot of us do sport, is because we have friends in our team. And you want to hang out with the polo players who are cool and the swimmers who are cool. And then it's all a boys' school and the girls are swimming in the club. Then he wants to hang out with a few girls. Yeah, who knows? So young kids, they are talking about, it's about you, what you want, and how we can help you. So if we create a dialogue, even with a young kid, good options can come out.
Thank you, Julian, sir. Kanitha, do you want to add anything to it?
small thing guys, like when I was swimming and playing water polo, both Shehan sir and Julian sir was coaching me. First thing I have to say, they were super supportive to me. They were super supportive. And like Shehan sir and Julian sir both mentioned, yes, more than water polo, I prioritized swimming. I went for water polo saying I started my career as a swimmer. So they wanted me in the team because I'm fast in the fast inside the water. That's why they wanted me, honestly. But then I performed, and then somehow I became a water polo captain at Royal College. But having said that, my priority was always swimming. But yes, I agree with Julian sir. Like, if at a certain point, if I would have stopped water polo, I could have gone further. I mean, at one point. So, like I said, I'm always grateful for the coaching staff. At one point, I got selected for the Asian Junior Water Polo Championship, and this was my schedule: early morning training, 5 to 6. Sorry, 4:30 to 7. Straight away to school, and from school I was excused at 12 o'clock to go for water polo practice at police pool. So 1 to 3, I practice water polo, and then straight away come to the NCC for the evening training session. All right, and after evening training session, I go for water polo again. That's for the college training session. So in the afternoon, it was the Sri Lanka training session. I went through that program for 1 month. All right, I lost 6 kilos and I got injury, or I would say lack of stretching. So that's what Julian sir especially mentioned. I mean, you can balance both sports, but you have to make a choice, and you have to be very concerned about your rest. I will talk about rest tomorrow in the nutrition plan. You have to be very concerned how many hours you are sleeping, and are you getting the proper rest. Like, if I would have got that proper rest, I would have swum faster for sure. That's my opinion on balancing everything. Thanks, Kasunaya, for that.
Thank you, Vadita.
The answers are very long, I believe. So
Yeah.
we'll have to quickly go through.
Yeah. Okay, I think this question might be interesting for the person especially. Sir, sometimes I feel like I am in the same place after a lot of practices and workouts. So I feel I have reached my maximum, and is it not use of doing more and more?
Okay,
So
so I think what they're saying is they're stagnant in their career, right?
Yes.
So if for being stagnant, I think Julian sir will say the same, because I'll take Julian sir as an example, because I've learned from him a lot. He was stagnant for about 5 years in his career, right? He was stagnant, but he has been training. He trained his guts out. Same with my brother. He won a 3rd place, a 2nd place at Sri Lanka School, but he was always going 440, 445 for his 400 freestyle. That's all he did. 440, 445, right? That was until 2011. 2013, the 400 freestyle short course. My brother, he was stuck. He was always, from his junior national age. He was junior national. He was, I think, in 2000, would have been about 2006 to about 2011. He was 5 years at around 440 on. Short course came. He went a 419 for the 400 freestyle in 2 years of training. He just didn't give up. He trained. I know Julian sir had trained. He never improved. And there came a SAF Games or an international tour, and he won a gold medal. And the one thing he celebrated after touching the ball was not the gold medal, but seeing that improved time on that timing ball. He saw that PB and he was like, I did it. But doesn't mean I'm stagnant that I should give up. It can be your physical growth has come to a end, or you're stagnant there. It can be your lack of enthusiasm. You've lost interest. It might be that you need a break from swimming, but it doesn't mean that you should give up unless you are physically and mentally feeling depressed, where you need to change the sport or something like that. But just because you're stagnant doesn't mean your career is over. That might be the beginning of your quick peaking career, because you have done the work in that 5 years, though you didn't improve. Now your engine is fine-tuned. Once you get the new tires on your car, you start racing. Does that help?
I suppose so. Julian sir, do you want to add anything?
Excellent. No, well said, Shehan. And sometimes you need time to, sometimes you need a break from it. And that's the beauty of life, that, the sporting world, which should be our playground, also when you compete and you go into competition stage of your, sporting career. Your ups and downs are there. Let's just not think that we are going to not have any downs. And some of the greatest athletes have talked, they've had more downs than ups. Michael Jordan, famous basketball player, said the number of games he lost because of him made him practice more. So you got to go through some down struggles, and struggles can come, like Shehan said, physical, can be home situation, young kids. Parents, we need to talk about that. So it could be a nutrition. For me, it was a nutrition that's, because I wasn't eating well. That sort of, I think, stopped me from progressing or sent me backwards, actually. So it can be many reasons. And the main thing is that if we enjoy hanging out with our swimmers, teammates, you know what, struggle or no struggle, you want to be there. It's your playground. So don't give up and talk to your coach and try and slowly figure it out.
Thank you, Julian, sir. With that encouraging answer, let's just move on to basically yesterday's winners. The other questions which have been asked for, we will definitely get back to you.
We will answer, and we will put a small Word document and forward it to. We'll try to. We will definitely send that baseball video which I was forwarded by.
Yeah.
I think
links, drill links, everything will be sent.
Everything will be sent. I think it's a very needed video for the parents.
Okay. Right. So let's now move on to the interesting part, I think, for the children, mainly.
The question.
Yeah, the winners from yesterday.
Winners. Okay.
The winners from yesterday. So basically, congratulations. Yesterday's winners were Nishka Vivekanathan, Miheli J, Shiara Dayaratna. So you can collect your gifts from Glory Swim Shop in Spathodia Avenue, Colombo. So just make sure that you take your proof of identity when you go there. One more thing which we would like to remind you is that when you answer the questions, make sure that your ID, not your ID, at least your parents' ID number is there. So we can definitely identify you while handing over the gifts or choosing the winners. Right. Okay. Now let's move on to today's question. What are the 6 phases of long-term athlete development? I think Shehan spoke about it from at the beginning, and he explained it phase by phase. So again, the question is, what are the 6 phases of long-term athlete development?
It's a long answer, so maybe they'll take time to do it.
Yeah, you can take your time. There's no issues at all. I would suggest you listen to this part as well. So you should state your name, your parents' ID number, and then your answer. You should state your name and your parents' ID number, and then your answer. The three winners will be chosen and announced tomorrow, as we did today. So I will give you some time so you can put in the answers. I think a lot of people were having a bit of fun on the chat box. We had some international artists today.
Dua Lipa and Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Some thought they were funny, but I don't think it was. But it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it
didn't bother me.
Yeah. So what we'd like to say is, as you enter the answers, we would like to thank. We would like to give a big thank you or a big shout out to Sustagen School 6+ and our gift sponsor, Glory Swim Shop. We'd like to thank our, which we are powered by Sustagen School 6+ and our gift sponsor, Glory Swim Shop. Right, I think have you had enough time? I think answers are coming in, I believe.
We stop at 8:15. We have about 1 minute. 1 minute exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So
the first 3 are already there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I would like to thank everyone who joined us today. And also, I hope it was. I know it was an enlightening session for parents and swimmers. And I would advise everyone, the children and the parents, to join tomorrow as well, because nutrition, we will be covering nutrition and avoiding injuries. So I think the parents are generally, I think 99% of the time, are in charge of the nutrition. So I think Kanita will be speaking about nutrition, and then we will have Udesh, who will be speaking about avoiding sports injuries. So I think it will be very important for parents and children. So make sure that you are part of it tomorrow as well. And I would like to remind you to log in by 6:50. So we as we've done for the last today, including today, we started at 7 o'clock. So we will start at 7 p.m. sharp. So thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.